going, baby? How you living? How you living?
I really like to take this challenge for myself, aside of just being a musician.
She had a swishy jacket and some thing on her head.
Even it's really big for you.
Yeah, it's like the size of me.
Don't worry, I won't say anything stupid. I hope. It's just like a crazy metal band, like shooting everything up.
My advice is forget the movies and look for a good job.
My daughter is going to sleep, so I needed to say goodnight to her.
I don't want terrible things to always be happening to me and my children, you know.
I think I was more nervous when the movie was premiering and coming out, because then I realized that people actually had to see it.
Nice to escape the studio. We have the beautiful, sunny, not sunny English countryside behind us. So.
This country and this world can do a whole lot better.
Wow, what a presentation.
Right, like I want people to know that you didn't just show up now.
That's where the idea of the pancake came from.
But you're the only person ever who has ever asked me that question. Ever.
Oh, wow.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America. And thank you so much for joining me on this Monday, the 9th of August, 2021. And real quick housekeeping before we get to my interview this afternoon. I do have 2 live streams now, which just happened this morning, on this coming Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time at 10 a.m. Mike and Lottie from Hybrid UK will be returning to talk about the album now that it's out, and they've got shows, and they're working on a Netflix project, and I think they've started up a Patreon, so that's going to be at 10 a.m. And then the newly scheduled live stream interview is going to be with Infected Rain, who are coming to the United States to tour. So we're going to be talking about what's coming up for the live shows, which is really exciting that we have some live show tours coming here, especially for bands that are not from the U.S. So that's at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. If you want to know more details about what I have coming up, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first. And then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining or seeing my YouTube channel, if you could hit the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that. And if you want to know what's coming up, you can hit the little notification bell next to it. Please be aware that we'll send emails to your inbox, though. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, I always appreciate that. That's where I started off some 16, 17 months ago on the Alice tour. So I always maintain a platform on Twitch. And yeah, so hopefully everyone's having a good start to their week. And let's get to things, because I'm excited to talk to my guest today. My guest today is a wonderful vocalist and musician. His band just released their self-titled album on August 6th, which was this past Friday on Frontiers Music. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Guy Oliver from Mayank.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hi, Guy. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. I love your voice, and your style of music is what I grew up with. So I can't wait to dive into all of this.
Cool.
All right. And just before we do that, how are things down in your area of Brazil right now?
Well, I live in South Brazil. The city is called Cascavel. You can call in English rattlesnake. It's like the same. It's the snake. Well, here the things are doing great here in my city, but there are some places in Brazil that are with some problems. And well, here people are being vaccinated, so I think we're doing good. You know, people want the vaccine, so I think the cases are getting lower. You know, so that's great.
Okay, yeah, that's good to hear. We have here in the Washington State and Seattle, it's getting kind of in this kind of strange zone, meaning that our cases are going up, and we have a really high rate of vaccination here. So it's kind of like what's going on. I think actually our governor is supposed to do a press conference today about it. So hopefully that changes and goes back to doing well like it was earlier.
No, the great thing is that the big thing is that we don't know for sure anything about this disease, or so it's really weird, so.
It is. There's going to be a lot of, ups, downs, things opening, things kind of pulling back. I mean, there's nothing definitive, as you said, about any of this right now. We're just we know bits and pieces of things, and we can kind of just hope it keeps going in, a positive direction.
Yeah, I read on the internet that some concerts in the US, they are being canceled. So, man, it's when you think that things will get normal, will be normal, so things change. So, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I saw a couple things that initially they were postponed, and then they said now they're going to be just canceled until sometime next year. And then there's other ones that are supposedly happening, but there's still this kind of question mark over them. So it's not like I can't be jumping up and down and getting all excited about a show coming, because there's a chance it may not happen.
Yeah, we all miss this.
Yeah, we do for sure. So let's talk about your album. How did this? Is this compared to with Landfall being what I consider a band collaboration? This seems more like a solo project to me. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Man, well, I will talk a little about how we get this project together. Alessandro Del Vecchio is a great friend of mine. We started this relationship in Landfall, actually. He did the master of our album, and he asked me to write songs with him for some frontiers artists. So we started to make songs, and we have, I don't know, 15, 14 songs, and people have already recorded the songs, and some songs will be out soon. And then one day he told me that if I would like to have the songs that we wrote together in an album with me singing, so it was great, because it's a collaboration between me and Ali. So that's how it started. But we started making songs to another artist from Frontiers. That's how it all began.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for the backstory, because I'm always interested too when it comes to particularly the artists that are with Frontiers, of like who worked on what, because sometimes, like you said, you guys were writing songs together, which is awesome. I love the fact that you're a songwriter. Sometimes you have artists that kind of got put together to kind of help out with certain things, because the label president has an idea of what they had in their head and want to do like a super group and all these kind of different things, which is really interesting as a fan. But as a musician, it's kind of like, and myself being a musician, it's like, I want to know who's actually writing these things, because I put a little bit more stake into someone that's a songwriter and a vocalist musician than someone who's also just kind of taking the material and just kind of doing it.
Yeah, and for me, actually, write songs is, it's what I love, so it's hard for me to sing songs from another people, it's different, because I think you can feel what the singer or the musician, I think it's very important, and writing songs, it's my thing, actually.
Well, that's great to hear, because and I agree with that. Art in general, let alone music, is about self-expression. So if you're singing someone else's material, and we know people do that all the time, but it's like, if it's coming directly from you, that's more, to me, more of a personal expression of your art, because it's what you came up with.
And especially there are some songs, some lyrics actually, that I'm talking about myself. So when Ali told me that, this song, especially like Bill is on the Run, that it's about myself actually. And when he told me, man, you will record this song, and I think, oh, thanks God, because it's a person that wrote the song will sing it. So that's great. That was great.
Okay, yeah, and that's there's so many things on this record that I want to kind of dive into in the time that we have, and but let's kind of go back a little bit. So as you guys were working on writing these songs for other artists, and then it kind of became, hey, why don't we take these songs and put it out as something for you, featuring you, your vocal talent and your songwriting talent. did anything get written beyond that? Like, did you go into a studio and thought, oh, here's another idea that we have, and you kind of fleshed out a song that ended up on the album, or was it all songs that you had, the 11 songs before you ever, went into a studio?
No, actually, it works like Ali. They sent me the songs, the rhythm, and I did the melodies, the vocal melodies, and the lyrics. That's how we work in this album.
Okay, and so from your end of things, if you're coming up with the melodies and the lyrics, were there certain songs on the album that came really, like, they just kind of flowed right out of you in terms of the melodies and what you're going to do vocally, or were there songs on there that were like, it got really, really tough to come up with things?
I think most of the songs they come just. I listened to the songs and I had an idea, and I was walking here in the street, and it was really very spontaneous, and it's crazy because sometimes I think, man, this song was already in my mind, and it was ready, and now it's flowing. So it's weird, but it's how it works for me.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, and actually, I'm doing a lot of music nowadays, and I think when you become writing songs, and every week you have a new song and you have to write for somebody, I think it becomes more easier. So I think I'm doing this right now.
Okay, well, yeah, that's much better than the alternative of you struggling with things, like if you have like nothing's coming to you. So if it's all flowing.
Yeah, but there are songs that I have to think more, especially the lyrics, because I think lyrics are very important too, because you have to have a message to people, and especially the melodic rock and AOR audience. They want a positive message, so I think it's important.
That's true. And also with melodic rock songs, that fans are going to start singing them. They're going to start singing the lyrics. I mean, you can't help, especially when you get to a hook and the chorus and everything else. So like, if you have some kind of really odd lyrics, it's going to be kind of like, what am I singing right now?
Yeah, that's it. But they are, I'm actually in Landfall also. I write the lyrics for the band too. So Auras, my first band. So I love to write.
Okay, well, and that kind of begs the question then, if you could bring me back. So how did you first start, well, not even just writing songs, but were you a vocalist, from way back when? Were you playing guitar or something and singing at the same time? Well, how far back do we go as a musician?
Well, in the beginning, I wanted to be, Richie Blackmore, but I didn't have the pipes for being a great guitar player. But no one in my bands could sing, so I was the one that could sing better than the others. And one day, I was a friend of mine here. I was not living here, and he invited me to be the lead singer for his band. And since then, I started singing, and I become better and better, study more, So, but I in the beginning, I didn't want to become a singer. I wanted to play the guitar, So, but it was natural.
Okay, and so as you kind of like you were saying, like you're the best singer in your early band, collaborations. Were you taking lessons, or were you just self-taught, or both?
I had some lessons, but I think the greatest thing is that you have to sing, and sing, and never stop singing, because you doing this, you will become a better singer. I think, of course, lessons are important too, but I think as a vocalist, I think you have to feel what you want to express. So it's more about just studying, especially when you sing. But it's important, you have to, because I'm almost 40 now, and when I get older, 70, I don't know. So we know that some singers can't sing anymore, but I think it's you have to study, but you have to feel what you want to sing.
Okay, and that makes sense. There's a lot of people, myself included. Like I took lessons for a little while on guitar, and then after a while, you just want to explore. You want to express yourself. So then you just kind of figure out things on your own and figure like, what is my voice and what am I trying to play, or in this case, sing, and then develop your own style and your own sound, and then all those kind of things so that you stand out from the crowd. And so I'm interested too. Who are some of your early vocal influences?
Well, I'm a 90s guy. I was born in 81, but the first thing that I remember, my father, my daddy, he loves music, and I remember when I was a kid, he used to listen to Bad Company, Trapeze, and we have Paul Rogers and Glenn Hughes, So I was listening to this kind of music, and then in Brazil came the MTV, So when I saw there are two bands that I really loved since the beginning. That Mr. Big is my favorite band of all time, I love them. And Extreme, these two bands, they were like my two favorite bands ever. And then of course, I discovered a lot of bands like Bon Jovi. I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan from the beginning. The New Jersey album, for example, and Whitesnake, Van Halen, you name it. And after AOR came to my life, when I was 20, I think, and then I become to listen to Journey, and my father used to listen to Survivor and Foreigner, Irish Speedwagon, and his bands. So this is my background, actually.
Okay, that's wonderful. Like I mentioned to you pre-show, I grew up going to concerts. Like the first show I saw was in 1979. I was 9 years old, so I'm a little older than you. But like I saw Journey in 1983. I saw Survivor on the When Seconds Count tour. So that I love a big, clean production, great melodies, hooks. A singer that can sing like Steve Perry or Jimmy and from Survivor, and it's just kind of like, so when I hear these bands like yours. I just kind of, it's a little bit of a throwback for me, but at the same time, there's enough of a modernness to it in 2021 that we kind of put these worlds together that it gets good to me real quick as soon as I hear that kind of music. So it's like, wow, this is so nice to hear that that it didn't disappear. If anything, it's gotten stronger in the last like 5 years.
Yeah, I think the record label Frontiers, it's very important in this way, because they came up with these musicians that were forgotten there. So I remember that I bought Jim Jamison's Empires album, and I think it was in 1999, and that was amazing. It's an amazing album, and so there are many singers and bands that they bring back to life. So I think it is important. And in my case, actually, here in Mayank, for example, I think Alessandro Del Vecchio has a great, he's important in this direction, being more modern, with his keys and his style. So I think this is really important,
Yeah, that's true. And he's obviously a very, very prolific writer and producer and everything else that he's been doing with Frontiers. And you're right. I mean, now I think about it, when I first heard about Frontiers as a label, which was many years ago, they're kind of known as the kind of AOR melodic rock label. And some of the bands maybe that, like I'm thinking like Night Ranger off the top of my head, that were big at one point, they kind of brought them back to a worldwide audience. By giving them the support, and then obviously the label just grown by leaps and bounds over the last 5 to 10 years, and it's important because there's so many talented musicians and bands out there that kind of fell through the cracks during some of the the last 15, 20 years. And it's nice to see them back out there doing what they do and having label support for it, obviously.
Yeah. I remember that because here in Brazil is different. It's hard to find the albums, and so we I'm a music lover, so I always have a bunch of CDs you can see here, and I'm a collector too. But I think in 2000 it was really hard to have these albums. So I remember the first time I saw Two Fires. That is a project from Kevin Shalfen and what's the name of the guitar player? Oh, come on, the guitar player from The Storm. Josh Ramos. So it's from tears. So I said, man, this is amazing. The first time I heard Kevin Shalfen, it's great.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people that listen to melodic rock and AOR are definitely collectors like yourself, like I am. I can look over at my CDs over here on the wall, right, that are off camera, and that's part of that. That love of the music that they want to not only do they want to listen to it, they want to physically own something that's tangible in their hands, and I don't think, hopefully that never changes, because I love that kind of thing. And but kind of bringing it back to what's going on with your band, the music video that came out, I want to say it was in May, was for Destiny Calling, and as you mentioned during this interview, that the lyrics are very important to you and the message that comes out. What's going on lyrically with that particular song and that music video?
So actually, this song was the one that I didn't write the lyrics. Yeah, this is Ali's song.
Oh, okay.
But as far as I know, he's very concerned about the future and everything else. He's a special guy, so I think he want to talk about this. Have to look back to know what you do in the future. I think it's about this. And the video, actually, it was really, I think it's a great video. I love it. And I didn't expect it, because I recorded here and Rolf recorded in Sweden, and the guys Nick and Ali recorded in Italy. So, the end was really fantastic.
That's definitely one of the pluses of technology right now, that you guys can be in different parts of the world, and that someone can edit that together, and it looks like you're all in the same place.
Yeah, it was. And I remember that the first time I saw it, I said, man, this is impossible, man. It's so great. But I think I don't know who came up with the video, but I think Eleonora Serafino, he was back in this video.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rolf, playing guitar in the video and also on the record. Was he brought in from Alessandro's side or from your side, or how did he get involved with the project?
Yeah, actually, when Alessandro told me that we will make this record together, he told me that he will look for some musicians, and he came up with the idea. And I was a fan of Perfect Plan, and Rolf is a great guitar player, and now I know that he's a great person too. He's amazing. And Kent Healy, these guys are amazing, and I love them. And so I was very happy, to have him, and we talk a lot nowadays. So it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got a chance to talk and interview Kent a couple months ago, and couldn't be a nicer guy, and obviously very talented, and obviously also with Frontiers. So there's definitely a running theme of them spotting and working with some amazing talent for sure. And but so I was putting in my notes here that one of the songs I really liked on the album was the ballad "Sign of Love." So did you do the lyrics for that song?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the inspiration behind there?
And this song is interesting because it was, I think it was the last song we did, because we wanted that, and I remember that Ali told me we need a journey vibe on the album. We need a journey ballad, like a journey ballad on the album. So actually, this song is lyrically it is about, like I told you, the songs are about me. So when I was talking about when you wait for somebody to love. Actually, you were doing your own stuff, and you wait for somebody that's special to be part of your life. And it's a love song actually.
Okay, and it's interesting that you mentioned that Alessandro was thinking that we need like a journey vibe on the album, so maybe this ballad will be that one. As you're maybe coming up with melodies and like you just mentioned with the lyrics, was there any kind of journey songs in your head that were kind of maybe a little bit influencing that tune?
Yeah, a lot. I can't lie, a lot. I was thinking about all those Steve Perry melodies, and I think it's a great song. It's a great song, and we did a great job on that song.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know as a guitar player, sometimes if I'm going for a certain vibe that I will listen. So if I want something that sounds really traditional heavy metal, I might listen to Priest and Maiden and Accept and things like that. So it kind of starts influencing about how I riff on things. And if I don't want that and I want something maybe more progressive or a little bit more pop oriented, then I do listen to some of those artists because it starts to seep into what you do, into your psyche. And then I don't want it to be a rip off of that, but I want to be just kind of slightly influenced by it. And I think that's normal.
And I think it's natural because we used to listen a lot of these bands, so it's like it's in your head, it's in your heart, so it's natural. It's not. I want to sound like I don't want to sound like Steve Perry because he's unique and he's the best. So I'm just trying to do my job, but it's in my heart, in my mind, so I can.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. It's organically there. It's something that you feel that you want to do. You don't have any kind of other motive behind why you're having a song sound a certain way. So no, this is what's coming out of me. When I write stuff, it sounds like a product of the '80s because that's what I am. So it just makes sense.
That's it. And it's interesting because in the first Landfall album, I don't know if you can talk about Landfall here, but just to the guys from the band, they have a very prog metal background. So I put my, how can I say, my pop side and my AOR side on the band, my hard rock side on the band with the chorus and everything else. So the new album that we are recording now, they have some there are songs that are like that Mr. Big vibe, that I love. So it's something natural. We weren't talking about and we need to make a kind of Mr. Big song. It became natural. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and again, that's the biggest thing. If it's just organically, naturally happening, then everyone could understand that. It's not, again, you're not sitting there having a band meeting saying, well, we need to sound a little bit like Extreme on this song, and we need to sound a little bit like Mr. Big. Or it's like, no, if you just get together and this is what's coming out of you at that time for the new album, then that's what comes out of you. And that also sounds really exciting too. That you guys are working on the next album as Landfall to get that together. And you're right, every band member, and you know this, whatever their influences are, when you put them together, that's what makes the band. So like when somebody leaves and you put somebody else in there, depending on what they're influenced by, the sound kind of starts changing and the songwriting can change and everything. So yeah, you bring this hard rock AOR side to Landfall and you mix it with their progressive side, then it's like, well, this is what you get then. This is what Landfall sounds like.
Yeah, I think it's great because it's a unique sound. So it's great. It's different than Mayank, for example, that Alessandro sent me the songs and I write the melodies and the lyrics. So it's different, because in Landfall we were on the studio, just playing, just jamming, and it's a different vibe actually. But both bands work.
Yeah, absolutely, they work. So that's awesome. So as you mentioned, you're working on the next record with Landfall. Are there other projects that you're also working on since you're so involved with music right now?
Man, I'm writing songs with Jan from Infinite and Divine. I don't know what will become. like I told you, I love to write songs with different people. So actually, I don't have much time. And actually, my first band, Auras too, we are recording some songs, that are getting very, I'm loving. I'm in love with the song. So, I will not stop anymore.
Well, that's great. I mean, I guess it's not too much of a surprise. I interviewed Jan many months ago when their album came out, so that's great. And he's a tremendous talent, and the fact that your first band Aris is working on some new songs. So you're a busy guy.
Yes, because Miracle Mile, that is a song from Mayank. He also wrote written the song, so we became friends.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, Guy, to kind of wrap this up, you've kind of already mentioned what you're working on. So, but is there anything else like video-wise coming out from Mayank, or any other kind of promotional thing that's coming out from the band? Or because I know besides the music video, Frontiers has put out 2 audio clips on YouTube. Is there something else coming out?
Yeah, I was thinking these days, actually, now that the album is out, to make something. So I will talk with the label and let's see what will happen, because I think it's important. There are some songs that people, the big audience will know just for watching the video or something. It's different nowadays. So I think it's important, and I want, I don't know which song, I will choose to do this, but I will after we will speak, and you tell me your thoughts about.
Yeah, I'll definitely shoot you a message offline about what I think should be next. And that actually brings up another thing that I've definitely seen some singers that have been doing vocal one takes. Well, they'll sing live a song from their new album. Is that something you would consider doing?
Yeah, no problem. This would be great. I will think about it. Yeah, Sign of Love, good song for this.
Yes, yeah, it would be. Your vocals are soaring on that song, and it would be. It also sounds really challenging as a vocalist. I think it would really showcase your ability. So, yeah, I'm just thinking there's been quite a few vocalists that have, they'll take a track from the new album and they go into their home studio and they belt that thing out and then put it on. And I love hearing that kind of thing because you gotta get to hear it raw. And so, what kind of vocalist are you when I actually get to hear you sing? Since I can't hear you in person yet.
Yeah, because nowadays, with all the technology, sometimes you don't know what have behind this stuff. So and actually playing live is something that I love. This really hurts. That we can do many things nowadays, but I love to sing live. So it's a shame.
It is, and hopefully, we'll all get there again, where we can just freely go to shows. Bands can be on tour, they can be on stages again, connecting with their audience and building their audience, and getting to travel to other countries and everything else. And I know for myself, and I think a lot of other people, I don't take any of that for granted anymore. After the last year, having all that ripped away from everybody, it's just like, man. I mean, I just never thought that would ever happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And I almost made it before I got yanked up. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks, that I have this tech issue where sometimes the stream decides to drop me out for no apparent reason. But this one, it cut me off mid-sentence. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a chance to get there. It's just kind of a wait and see period now, because there are shows going on even here in Seattle. But like we were talking earlier, are the future ones going to happen? Don't know.
In Guns N' Roses is doing an and Mammoth. Yeah, and I don't know if they will continue or what will happen.
Yeah, and see, that's a good point. You have a band of that stature playing big shows here in the U.S. right now. There's a lot of festivals that have been happening here in the U.S. with 40,000 people there, and I know one interesting one is that, even though it's got nothing to do with rock or anything, but Garth Brooks, the huge country artist, was scheduled to play Seattle he just put all that on hold because there's like, we got to go wait and see about what's going on with this COVID thing, because we thought we were in the free and clear and we can just book the shows and play them. And I think he was going to be here in September or something. And now they're like, we better wait and see, because we don't want to, book something and then try to sell tickets to all the fans, and then we got to yank it again. So yeah, it's strange because, and I've told this to people when I was doing these streams right in the middle of the pandemic, that I thought the things that were going to be the last to come back were the big shows, because how do you have 40,000 people around each other versus 400?
Yeah, in control.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then some of the festivals, they were back in May. So I was seeing these things online and here in America, and I'm like, they're pulling off that festival, and how are they doing that when we weren't even in the clear yet? But I don't know. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe they shouldn't have done them.
Well, I'm waiting next year to see Kiss live in the End of the World tour. So I don't know. I think they postponed to February the concert here. So I don't know what will happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw them on the end of the road tour here, but that was, my timeline's so screwed up like everybody else's. I can't even remember what year that. I guess that was 2019 when I saw that. Yeah, I guess it was 2019.
2020 was without show, so.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything, and then they did that one show in Dubai, I think on New Year's Eve, that they managed to work out in 2020. But other than that, yeah, they've been at home like everybody else, and just trying. But yeah, that's true. I did see some other big shows that they had said they were going to happen in 2021, and then they got postponed to 2022, and that's just in hope that it happens at that point. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that it does. That was the first band I ever saw live, was Kiss in 1979. Yeah, made a huge impression on me. Being a 9-year-old kid and seeing the original lineup. This was on the Dynasty tour, and Gene Simmons always doing the Blood and the Fire, and the drums going up, and Ace is smoking guitar, and it was all over after that. It was like, I'm a fan of this stuff now.
Yeah, I remember that I saw Deep Purple many times, because here in Brazil is really difficult to have these bands, So Deep Purple, I think, was the first band that when I was a kid, that I traveled with my father to another city to watch them. And my father was not a young man, I think he was 60, I don't know. But it was cool, see Deep Purple. And I love the band, actually, but I think it was Perpendicular tour, 97, 98, I think 1997.
Okay. I see that, and I saw Deep Purple, and I'm trying to remember what year this was. It was when they got back together for Perfect Strangers, so 1985, I want to say, with the Mach 2 lineup or what have you, and Richie was tremendous, and Ian was tremendous. Well, the whole freaking band was tremendous. I love seeing some of the veteran bands and for the first time, because then you kind of, as soon as you see them, most of the time it's like, now I know why they've been around so long and why they have so many fans, because they're so good.
Yeah, that's why I went to see Journey here in Brazil, that they played once with Arnel.
Yeah,
I think it was Eclipse tour, I think. And Foreigner also was great, with Kelly Hansen, and was amazing. And what else? Toto too, because Toto is great too. And Ringo Starr I saw. It was great because Steve Lukather on guitar and Greg Bissonette on drums. It's a great show.
Yeah, no, that's you've seen some amazing shows down there, and I have kind of a curious mind. Do you also have any interest in like the heavier side of things? So do you like like an Iron Maiden? I know has been down in Brazil before, more than once, and those kind of bands, or is like not your cup of tea?
I'm more like a hard rock and AOR guy, but I like, when I was a teenager, some French, this will I'm saying the truth. I was I listen a lot to Slayer and Creator, but I don't know. I think I get older and I stopped listening to. Yeah, of course, I listen to these bands, but it's not like I don't have many more records from them. But I used to listen even Morbid Angel or things like that. I was extreme.
Yeah, that's cool. I like all styles of music, and I saw Morbid Angel with Cannibal Corpse. I covered them. I was in the photo pit and all that kind of thing, and I'd never seen them live before, and that was 2 or 3 years ago, fairly recently. And so I like the heavy stuff all the way to I cover pop stuff and folk and blues and a little bit of jazz, and I do a lot of film work and all of these other things. That's why it's eclectic arts. It's like I'm not pigeonholed into anything. But my soft spot will always be for things that have come from the 80s era. So obviously, again, like I mentioned earlier, music like yours, it hits home real quick. And particularly when I hear your kind of voice, because the singer makes or breaks those kind of bands to me. If they are kind of so-so, then I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't really grab me. But your voice absolutely stands out. They're a tremendous vocalist.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to now, I guess, start to wrap this up. Do you ever, being such a great vocalist, do you ever teach lessons to students online?
No, I think I'm not capable to do this. I like to sing, but to teach I think it's different. And I don't know. I can give some people advices, that sometimes they ask me, but just this, I don't know.
Okay, well, yeah, no, and that's a fair answer. Some people that's something that they've been doing. They've been doing lessons, and other people, I know even from a fan standpoint, sometimes it might be someone who just wants to kind of ask more like advice kind of things, like what have you found over the years of seeing? So maybe it's not a traditional lesson per se, but more like a kind of like a fan session kind of thing, and they can ask you stuff about your vocal technique and things that you do. How often do you warm up, and other scales that you do, and all that kind of thing. But I've also seen that people, maybe this is another question for you, have you thought about doing like an Instagram live or something like that yourself, where you're answering fan questions as they come in?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. We did a live with Landfall, I think 3 or 4. We actually played an acoustic, so it was great. But about I have to talk to Rolf about it, because it will be very interesting for us to hang out together with people. It's great.
Yeah, that would be great, and it's such an interesting time where fans can have that kind of immediate access with the people that they're fans of. I mean, for me growing up, that never happened. You would never get to go onto your computer, which didn't even exist back then, and then listen and or watch your favorite artist answer your question about something as they're doing something live. That's definitely one of the pluses of social media these days.
And I think also people are making music. For example, Jeff Scott Soto. He put out many albums in the last years, and it's great. Because he didn't have time to play live, so he makes songs. So it's great. And even Mike Portnoy, for example. Mike Portnoy can't stop.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many things there's so many other avenues now with technology if you're not on a tour, or if you want to put things out, or if you want to be online all the time, you can, or you can be someone's like, I'm only going to be online when I want to put something out there and be more strategic about it. And yeah, it's bridged this gap between bands and fans, and which is really interesting to see.
Yes, and actually now we have Facebook, on Instagram. I remember when we signed with Frontiers back in 2010 for New Generation from Auras. We had a MySpace, and I got a message there. It was MySpace doesn't exist anymore. So I think now it's cool.
Yeah, that's true. God, I haven't heard that term in a long time because I was on MySpace back in the day. Oh, wow. How far we come. Well, Guy, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the album and the songs and yourself and everything else you got going on. I'm so happy to hear you're so involved with music right now and got a lot of new things coming up. So I wish you every success with everything else that you got coming up. And perhaps when, what is this? This is August, so maybe like in September or so, or maybe even early October, we'll kind of see where things are at. And we can do another one of these and kind of revisit each other and do a follow-up.
Anytime you want. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really, it was a pleasure. You're such a nice guy, and it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, right back at you. Thank you so much, and have a good, let's see, late afternoon, early evening down there.
There's 5 p.m.
Okay, early evening then. We'll go with that.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Take care, sir. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you so much. Take care.